In today's video, I wanted to explore the word capacity. What does it mean to be at capacity, and how can you help yourself prioritize yourself and lower your stress levels so that you have more capacity to do stuff during the day? And then in turn, when we have a bigger capacity for stressful events, we can sleep better and our sleep is not as disruptive. So that's what the chat is going to be about today. For those who don't know me, my name is Carol Richard. I'm the founder of the Sleep Success Academy, where we help sleep deprived individuals do what they need in order to get better sleep, because there's no one size fits all solution to someone's sleep problems. If you haven't already done so, why don't you go to my website, sleepsuccessacademy.com, and grab a copy of your free guide, 5 action steps to improve the quality of your sleep. And at the same time, why don't you hit subscribe and subscribe to this YouTube channel? All right, so what is capacity? What does it mean to have capacity within our nervous system, capacity in our life, capacity to handle stressful events that are happening, and how can we build a capacity if we don't have it? So it's a word that I've really played a lot with lately. What is capacity? Because I have noticed in myself and in some of my clients where we don't have capacity for something, but we push through and do it anyway because that's what society tells us to do. And even something like watching the news, taking in all this information constantly every day, being on social media, really decreases our capacity to handle stress. And so I don't know about you, but when I find myself mindlessly scrolling social media, I'm taking in all this extra information and I feel worse after than I did, even though I probably used it as a way to soothe and distract myself. It actually did worse. And so I want you to start looking at what is capacity for you and what are the things you're doing to try to get more capacity that might actually be backfiring on you. Because that's one of mine. Like when I notice that I'm scrolling social media, I always go, oh, no, it's because I'm at capacity of what I could handle in my day. And I'm wanting to quiet myself. I'm just not doing it in the right way. So when I notice it now, I stop it. Sometimes I'm like, 2 more scrolls, because you want to keep scrolling, but I stop it, put my phone away, and then I do some mindful exercise to re-regulate my nervous system, because I'm just realizing that I'm over capacity. So as we talk about capacity today, I want you to just get curious in your life. Where are you over capacity, and where could you maybe do things to help increase your capacity? So Dr. Google, I called him Dr. Google. When I looked it up, when I was like, what's the best definition to use to explain capacity? Because I kind of know it in my own system, what capacity feels like. But what Mr. Google said was, capacity is our ability to handle stuff. Okay, so our capacity is our ability to handle stuff, and replace stuff with anything. Our ability to handle our job, our ability to handle stress, our ability to handle the chores that we have to do in the house. That's capacity, our ability to handle life. And so for me, when I take a step back and go, well, what's my capacity? I like to break it down in different areas, because we might have a lot of capacity to handle friendships and fun and play, and not a whole lot of capacity to handle workload with a high stress job, fast paced, go, go, go. I know in my life, I don't have capacity to listen to the news, because the more information I put in my mind that is negative, and that's what the news is, I lose all capacity then to handle other little things in my life. So a choice that I've made is I don't listen to the news unless someone brings it to my attention, and then I might go look at something, but it's very rare that I would actually put the news on TV or go to a news site. So that's just a way for me to keep my capacity going. So one question I would ask you to explore for yourself: how do you know that you're over capacity, right? What does it feel like in your body to know that you've just reached your capacity? And let's use the example for work, because that's what I didn't know then, but I know now, is when I stopped sleeping, my capacity to handle the stress at my job was way past my limit. So I had 2015, I was working on a really big project. Some really bad decisions got made. by higher ups in the organization, which resulted in so much more work for us, the worker bees at the bottom. And it felt like at the time that there was no other choice but to keep working, 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 working. So my ability to handle my job, just all of a sudden I didn't have the ability anymore because there was no support. There was some, but there wasn't enough support. There wasn't a control in the workload coming in. There wasn't, so the control is so big, right? So when we lose control, our ability to handle the situation really diminishes. And how did I know in my own nervous system? And I wouldn't have used those words back then, but now that I know this, I encourage you to start thinking of what is happening in your body when that happens. Do you numb out and shut down and then start eating junk food and start drinking alcohol in the evening? Because that's a way to handle and try to increase our capacity. We're trying to de-stress because we're just so activated, we just can't seem to calm down. Or for me, it was anxiety. That's the way that we know we're over capacity. We've done too much. Or is the people pleaser coming out in you? That was me too, because I was trying to please everybody that needed something from me at work. And I was over capacity. And then we lose the ability to say no, right? We don't want to say no for fear of losing our job. We don't want to say no for fear of not looking good enough or not looking smart enough, whatever that reason is. So in your life, in everything that you do, start thinking, how do I know that I've reached that point where I'm over capacity? And I can't wait to hear what that looks like for you, because now I know what that looks like for me. But that was trial and error, and maybe working on a big project and saying, oh, no, feeling the stress and the anxiety, knowing I was doing too much. Being very careful with the amount of hours that I work in a day. So, at a certain time, I turn my computer off, and it's different every day. But when I turn my computer off, I try to shut work out of my mind. Well, that's a learned skill now because I was so stressed for so long. So that I make a point to take my pen and write down all the things that are left undone that I didn't have capacity for in the day. And I write them all on a piece of paper. So the next morning when I go in my office, I can see them. And that's how I create more capacity to relax in the evening. And so capacity is not just about stress, but it's also about joy and relaxation. So do I have capacity to relax when my brain is occupied with all the tasks on my to-do list? So by writing it down, I've just created then capacity to have more fun and joy and relaxation in the evening. So that's how I like to look at capacity. So nervous system capacity, but capacity in our day. And knowing that our capacity to handle life changes depending on what's going on in our life. So an example of that would be, I'm going along great. I can put in full days of work. I've got full capacity. And then boom, someone in my family gets sick, or I get sick and I get a cold, or I choose to take on another course or something. And all of a sudden I don't have enough hours in the day to do everything I want to do. So I no longer have the capacity to do all the stuff I need to do. And so looking at the capacity. So where in your life have you had great capacity for, like, say, months, and all of a sudden, boom, you didn't have capacity anymore? And that's just because something happened or something extra got added to your already heavy workload. And so that all of a sudden we don't have capacity. If that's you right now, say you have a cold or you're sick, then your capacity is less, and that's okay. It's okay to rest and relax and take those days off if we need them. In today's society, I know sometimes I feel the pressure to keep working even if I'm sick. I don't do that anymore. If I'm sick, I take the time to actually rest because I know if I rest, I'll get better quicker. So are you struggling with your capacity, but it's just like for a few days, as opposed to struggling with your capacity on a daily basis and it's long term? So looking at that too. And what can you do if you are struggling with capacity? One, reach out for help. Sometimes when we're so stressed and in our mind, we can't figure out what we need to do. And I'm not talking just working with me. I'm thinking reach out to your friends and explain to them, like, you're stressed and you don't know what to do and you need some advice. Asking for advice, asking for support, maybe talking to your spouse and saying, I just can't keep up with everything I have on my list. Can we split the chores in two? Or can we, maybe you take on some of my chores this week because I just don't have the capacity for it. So really coming in with people that can help you maintain capacity. So I hope it made sense. Just really check in with yourself and what is your capacity, because when we go over capacity, that was my experience, and I see it with a lot of people. When we don't take time to see what our capacity is for ourselves and maintain a level of ability to deal with stuff as it comes up, we then really flare up our nervous system into fight or flight. And if we keep going into that state for long enough, then we'll shut down because we just can't keep going at that pace. When we're over capacity day after day after day, that wears on us. And usually we stop sleeping because our brain won't shut off long enough to help us sleep. So this is why being aware of our capacity might actually help you get better quality sleep, because finding ways to stay within your capacity will actually help you improve the quality of your sleep. So that's it for today. If you have any other questions on how you might be able to support yourself to make sure you stay within capacity, just send me an email, support@sleepsuccessacademy.com. I'm the one who looks at those emails, and I'll be replying personally if you reach out to me. And if not, if you're doing great with managing your capacity on a daily basis, I'd love to hear what you're doing, because writing a comment on this video might help someone else figure out how they can maintain capacity in their life. So that's it for today. Bye.